we are back and we're still here with our friend, Dr. Lisa Strohman, and her book, Unplug. And I'm loving this topic. This is just so good. I'm actually learning a lot. This is amazing. So thank you for being here with us. It's really validating a lot of what I've felt and thought over the years, especially for parents who are not staying connected with their kids and paying attention to what's going on in their worlds. And you touched on something in the last episode. In this episode, I'd really love for you to give us more tips, practical tips, but also address one thing. You talked about why do kids need technology if you are dropping them off, if they're with a tutor, if you know where they're at, but not all parents know where their kids are at, and not all kids feel secure in their environment. So what do we do about those situations? I was a latchkey kid. We didn't have phones back then. But what about those situations?
Because of that, you actually had an anxiety disorder.
It's severe.
When she was 9, her mom sometimes wouldn't come home, and she'd end up calling the bars and trying to hunt her down, and you actually drove a number of bartenders crazy.
Yeah, well, 24-hour restaurants. Yeah. So we didn't have phones back then. I used a landline, but what do you do for those kids who are latchkey kids, who walk themselves home, who don't have the perfect environment at home, who come from broken homes and parents are fighting and not letting them call? And do you know what I mean? Like those types of situations. What do you say to that?
Excellent point on that situation, because I think that we have more and more families that are divorcing, or you have kids that are coming from fosters, or you have these kids that need some sort of belief or comfort that they have somebody looking up over them.
Right.
So again, that goes back to, if the kid's using it as a tool whereby they're like, I'm feeling uncomfortable in this situation because there's a stranger in front of me, or I'm uncomfortable in this situation because I got home and one of the windows was open. I'm going to call. I'm just going to walk myself through the house while I have an adult on the phone that I trust. Excellent use of the phone. If they're using it because they're not learning that internal locus of control. So in psychology, there's external locus of control and internal. External is everything around me is in control and makes me feel better. The things inside of me don't. So that's the balance or the line there. And again, it's divorcing parents. You want to understand, your child needs to still learn how to internally manage themselves. And so don't let it get that far where you feel like you're kind of beholden to your child to answer the call so they feel better. And just pay attention as a parent to that. But it's an excellent point that I think a lot of kids need some sort of security in these transitioning times with them. And it's still our job as the adults in the room to teach them how to have that internal fortitude, grit, get them into that place where they feel confident inside themselves.
That. Yeah. And I like what you said about, are they using it as a tool or are they being used? And that's pretty important. That makes sense to me.
Well, it completely fits with the evil ruler concept in the end of mental illness, or the fact that you're in a war for the health of your brain,
all of these companies like Apple saying, do you mind if we track your location? And yes, I mind. Why do they need to track even the apartment, building that we have up in LA? Can we track your location? No. Why do you need to track my location? Why does everybody need to track your location? It's crazy.
We don't. Right. Well, they sell it.
So let's do tips. Based on your extensive experience, and we have 7 minutes, give us as many tips as you can that our Brain Warrior families can start to implement. The first one is be aware that you said. What else can they do?
The second thing is sit down with your kids. And that's why I always give this free trial out, because I think you sit down with your kids and go through the key concepts of where they are developmentally. Do they understand the terms of service? Do they understand what it means when you say yes to downloading an app? Do they understand that there's a geolocation service based on each one of these apps, right? Our kids feel like there's a lot of things that are free in this world because of technology. And the adults typically understand that that's not true. Everything is an exchange. Everything is a transaction. And so if we're giving ourselves an app or a free trial of an app on technology, they're typically taking something from us, whether it's our facial recognition data, whether it's our tracking location, and they resell it. So that's how they're making their money, or they're advertising to us. So get the terms of service would be the second thing, is sit down with your kids and say, do you really understand what this means? Because I think kids, of course, depending on their age, they're smart enough to understand this. And I will tell you, Tana, for your 16-year-old, you sit down and you go through the terms of service
she'll
of
freak
Instagram
out.
or TikTok. Oh, absolutely. Like it's a global license that they're giving away that they can resell, and their image can be on billboards anywhere in the world, and they never have to tell her. Like that's frustrating.
I didn't even know that. That's crazy.
Absolutely true. Yeah. So one of the app presentations I do, they can take it and you license them on all of them to take it and resell it. They can even modify it. So if they want to change her face, her body,
Oh no, I
anything,
think the whole world
it.
is watching me all the
Oh,
time.
I do too. I'm convinced of it.
And,
Everybody's
when
watching.
Edward Snowden came out
Yep.
and said the CIA is basically watching everything you do.
Yeah.
I'm like, well,
My
when
life's
you
not that
grow up
interesting,
Roman
but-
Catholic, like I grew up like seriously Roman, you think God is watching and judging everything you do.
Every
Yeah,
step
but it's
you-
So it's like
having
now
God watching
God,
you.
the government.
I'm fine having God watch me.
Apple,
Everyone else, I'm not so
Google.
sure.
right.
Yeah.
Good. You just burned it.
But I give up. It's like I know they're watching, so I'm just gonna like give them a big mood
Okay,
or something.
more tips.
So mood changes. So this is a challenging one. Like with littler kids, elementary school, so I'll kind of break it down. Elementary school, you start to see mood swings. You start to see friend group changes, or you start to see grades shift at the elementary school age. That shouldn't be happening there. So
Online
that's a
bullying.
huge sign.
Online bullying happened to my niece in 4th grade.
It's a real thing that people, again, kids don't know how to talk about it. And when they do talk about it, parents freak out and they take their technology away. So guess what? Kids don't talk
They don't
about
talk
it.
about it. You teach them to lie.
Right. So that's the challenge of like with our kiddos of like, so that elementary school age, you shouldn't be seeing those massive mood swings. You shouldn't see in that. When you get to middle school to about sophomore in high school, that's when I tell parents, like, the wheels come off the bus. You're going to have to like belt in and like really kind of prepare, because mood swings, like, them telling you that they hate you, that their friends are more important, they don't want anything to do with you. That's all pretty normal. But it's exacerbated by technology.
Yep.
Because if you allow them in the bedroom and you allow them to shut the door, to me, that's as bad as letting them get on a field with a football in a helmet.
So
Like,
what should
it is
parents
the dangerous
do
part.
with,
Interesting.
because a lot of kids when they're 10, 11, 12 do get phones, and they often will keep them at night. So what is your thought is when you go to bed, the phone needs to be in my room?
There should be a central charging station. As parents, we should role model. We should not have our cell phone in our room. There's absolutely no reason why people are sleeping with their phones at night. Kids are not trauma surgeons that need to be woken up at 2 a.m. because there's some like a crisis in the world. There's a minute amount of people in this world that need to be able to answer
And
the
it should
phone
be on
in
silence
the middle
anyways.
of the night.
Yeah.
I always say, again, like people are like, oh, I need it for my alarm. Really? They're like $4.99 at Target at this point. So there's no reason that you need to have your phone next to your bed. It is, in adult couples, it is absolutely a wedge that goes in between couples, because we're looking at our feeds, like we're like paying attention, we're reading articles, like whatever it is that we want to give excuses for. It is not what we should be doing, and we shouldn't be role modeling that for our kids. They need that sleep. It is priority number one for developing brains, is getting them sleep, nutrition, all of those things.
Could not agree with you more.
I think
All right,
Tana, you're sounding a little
Central
too
He wants to
charging
change the
station.
now he wants to change the
I
subject.
heard central charging station.
Don't sleep with your phone.
Don't sleep with your phone. I actually read myself to sleep. So,
Yeah.
but I have blue light blockers
And leaves it on the bed.
my phone.
It drives me crazy. I throw it off the bed because it just drives me crazy. It's the
It buzzes
mistress.
all night
I call
long.
it the mistress. I call the phone the mistress. Drives me
Yeah.
insane.
I would say try it for a week. What a great Christmas present, holiday present, right? But give it a present, give a week without technology in your bedroom and see how things change.
Get the mistress out of the bedroom. Did you hear her? I heard it.
So another
Both
tip for
leaving me
kids.
speechless. All right, other tips.
I'm never going to be invited back.
I know you are for sure.
Another thing I think with kids is to recognize is when you see them changing like weight rapidly. And again, that this is hard because of puberty and like that
But
age.
they're not moving.
But it's like that. Yeah. So they're not moving as much. They're not active as much. So again, I always say, if you're going to allow your child access to technology, then counterbalance it with something. So are they doing a musical instrument? Are they doing activity? Are they doing a sport? So in my house, real sports before fake sports. You absolutely get no technology time on the weekends. We don't do any technology Monday through Thursday. Weekends we allow it, but it's only if you're engaged in a real sport. So you have to be on a team sport or participating sport, and you have to have done your music every day during the week, because I know that helps build neuronal structures in their brains and what they need to do. So
it's interesting. You and I were talking about this before we started. Our daughter, she started noticing it in probably 8th grade, that when she spends a lot of time on her phone, it's proportionate. She starts to not feel well. She starts to feel anxious. She's very anxious anyways. So she starts to feel anxious. She starts to feel depressed. She starts to compare herself to other people. And she pointed that out to me, and which we've been telling her forever. But she actually then fortunately notices it. And so she started limiting herself, which I thought was fantastic, which, we would anyways, but she did it to herself, like to an extreme, which I thought was amazing. So she would stay connected to her friends, but she wouldn't really spend a lot of extra time surfing through Instagram and stuff like that. So I thought that was actually really interesting that she would notice that it made her feel bad.
We're going to have to stop. But Lisa, tell people how they can learn more about your work and how they can use that to protect themselves and their children.
I would encourage the listeners to go to dcakids.org. We are 100% behind parents, families, kids, of understanding how to manage balance, have healthy relationships with technology, how to use it as a tool and not have it use you. That's our platform, and that's what we try to do every day at dcakids.org.
Wow, this has been so informative, even for me. I learned a lot.
Awesome.
This was great.
Thank you so much.
Happy
We'll
to
look
be
forward
here.
to having you back
Yeah.
after we have this discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. If you're enjoying the Brain Warriors Way podcast, please don't forget to subscribe so you'll always know when there's a new episode. And while you're at it, feel free to give us a review or 5-star rating, as that helps others find the podcast.
If you're considering coming to Amen Clinics or trying some of the brain healthy supplements from BrainMD, you can use the code podcast10 to get a 10% discount on a full evaluation at amenclinics.com or a 10% discount on all supplements at brainmdhealth.com. For more information, give us a call at 855-978-1363.